Hello everybody, it's a Professor Reach, and today we're going to talk about something very important in English. So, in English language teaching terminology, the word is suprasegmental, and we talk about suprasegmental features of the language. So what the hell is that? So, suprasegmental features of the language means features of utterances, the things that I say, features of utterances such as sentence stress and intonation. Now in this video we're going to talk more about intonation, but first I'd like to draw your attention to both of these things. So first, what is sentence stress? Let me present you with an example. I've got a cup of coffee, I might say. I've got a cup of coffee. So, which word in that sentence is the strongest word? I've got a cup of coffee. You should identify coffee as the word that's the strongest. I've got a cup of coffee, because that word is the most important word in the sentence, and that's the way English works. We emphasize the strongest, the most important word in the sentence. However, we can emphasize other words to give the sentence a different meaning. I've got a cup of coffee. I've got a cup of coffee. And when I say I've got a cup of coffee and I hit cup like that, then you understand that I'm emphasizing my cup of coffee. It's not a glass, it's not a mug, it's not a tankard, it's not a flask, it's a cup of coffee. In fact, it probably is a mug. Looking at this, this is probably what you would really call a mug, but everyone calls it a cup anyway. So you can see that I've changed the emphasis of the sentence by stressing a different word. This is what we call sentence stress. I could also say, I've got a cup of coffee. And in that sentence, obviously, I'm saying, I've got a cup of coffee. Me. I'm the one who's got a cup of coffee. Not you. Me. So you can see how it can be useful to stress different words in the sentence to have different meanings. So that's called sentence stress. And that's not really what we're focusing on today. But it's interesting anyway to identify it. What I'd like you to focus on today is the kind of music of English, the tone, or the intonation. So just listen to the music of English. We'll start with questions, I think, because questions, I think, really can draw your attention to this feature of English. Listen to this. Would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of tea? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, obviously, there's regional variations, there's accent variations, okay? But there's a general understanding and a general acceptance, and I'm just going to give you mine, which I can guarantee all English speakers will understand and they will know what you mean. And when you say do, then they understand a polite question. Oh, are you from Spain? Do you want to go to the park? Would you like to learn some English? And there we have a polite request in English. Would you like to learn some English? Would you like to learn some English? It doesn't have to be started up here. You don't have to start it. You can start it low as well. And you do the same pattern, and it means the same thing. For example, let's see if I can do this. Would you like to learn some English? Would you like to learn some English? As long as you do the pattern, then it works. Although, in general, the higher the tone, the more polite you're being. Would you like to learn some English? I think my voice was going on that one. So, pay attention to this. Pay attention to the tone. Pay attention to the intonation. Listen to this. Are we going to learn some English? Are we going to have a cup of tea? What's the difference in meaning here? And what's the difference in the intonation? Are we going to have a cup of tea? Are we going to learn some English? Before you understood that we were going to learn some English, but it's not happening. You're playing video games, or we're messing around, or we're watching TV, and I'm like, hang on, what's happening? Are we going to learn some English or what? Are we going to learn some English? Are we going to have a cup of tea? You see it? So, changing the intonation like that can have a big difference. You can express annoyance. And I'm just trying to get into character for this, to express some annoyance with this question. Let's go back to the polite one. Would you like a cup of tea? That wasn't quite right, was it? Let's try it again. Would you like a cup of tea? There we go. Now let's try it with annoyance. Would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of tea? There we go. Would you like a cup of tea? There's annoyance. Da 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 da. Okay. Okay. So let's have a look at a statement. First of all, let's try, wow, listen to this. Listen to this new information. Isn't this amazing and surprising? The world is round. Da-da, da-da. The world is round. Using intonation is useful. Okay, so that's kind of like, wow, listen to this. Now I'm going to do, oh, I'm so proud of myself. The world is round. Da-da, da-da. What about surprise? The world is round. Da-da, da-da. He said that the world is round. How can the world be round? How can he say such a thing? There's surprise. And let's just look at responding as well. Disagreeing, for example. Let's do disagreeing politely. So when we do disagreeing politely in English, we often kind of represent that we're a bit unsure. So we say, I don't really agree. I don't really agree. I don't really agree. And it's almost like we're a bit sad. You can take that a bit further, the sadness. I don't really agree. So we have these intonations which represent unsureness, not being sure, and sadness. And in English they're considered polite, or more polite than being very direct. Because if you're very direct, you would say it like this. I don't really agree. And you could even get a little bit aggressive with it. And you could be like, I do not agree. Duh, 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 duh. This is the way it is. Okay, so you have to be careful if you're saying things like that, because that can be very direct and it could be offensive. Unless you're the boss. But even if you're the boss, it could be offensive. Because the best bosses in the world don't have to be direct very often. Okay, everybody. So, I hope that you find that helpful. Just, if you want to know more about it, just focus on the intonation. Just listen to the intonation. Listen to the intonation that different people use and try to copy it. Try to sing it. Try to do-do-do-do-do-do. Yeah? And practice. Because it's not going to come naturally. Because in your language, the intonation, the song, the music will be different. Even if it's a little different. Maybe it's a lot different. Like Chinese or Russian. Maybe it's a little different. Like Spanish or German. But it will be different. And you have to learn this new tune in English. Because intonation's a very important device. With one word and different intonations, you can express different meanings. Tea? Tea. Tea? And that's very useful for communication. And communication's our goal, isn't it? So, thank you very much for watching, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Give me a like, give me a subscribe on YouTube, please. I need it on YouTube. And, well, as always, catch you later.